Welcome to the Texas Oil and Gas Podcast, the show dedicated to bring you the news from the oil patch deep in the heart of Texas, with your host, Ryan Ray and Josh Shelton.
You're muted, homie.
Texas Oil and Gas Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in to today's episode. This is episode 227. 227. I'm your host, Josh Shelton, my friend and co-host, Ryan Ray. Ryan, Mr. Jay Young filled in for me week before last. You went on your bi-weekly vacation, canceled the show last week. But we're back, man. We have some news with oil. It seems like it's the prices are starting to go down a little bit. So just changes going on.
Well, it's good to have you back because the week before you were on your you take you take off a month every other month, something like that, and so it was good to get you back. And we had Jay Young in your absence, and so that was fun. And so man, it's good. We got Stu Turley coming on here in just a few moments. Josh, I guess this is our last. No, we got one more podcast before November. I guess November ends, but it's our last one before Thanksgiving. So wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you are stay warm and well fed during the coming week. I think I'm coming to eat at your house, right? You're feeding me for Thanksgiving this year.
No, how did that work out?
I don't know, but I'm not complaining. You gonna fry me a turkey, or how's this working?
Well, my wife is doing all kind of special stuff. I told her I just wanted to boil some shrimp, man. I wanted to have some uncharacteristic Thanksgiving food, but she gave me a look, so I digressed. I let her run the show. So she was cooking last night at about 10 o'clock. She was getting dressed and ready, and
we know Thanksgiving on Thursday. This is you got a few days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, she's got all kind of people coming, man. We're gonna have a house full.
Well, you got that big mansion, so it probably won't feel full, but whatever.
So Ryan, I've been looking over some news and stuff for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, oil was at 76 this morning. Let me check real quick. I think it's 70. Yeah, 76.74. WTI Brent is right at 80. So did y'all talk last week, or did this come out? Biden asking the FTC to examine oil and gas companies. Did you and Jay cover that at all?
I don't think we talked about that. I did see Elizabeth Warren yesterday came out and said that this is price gouging from the oil and gas sector.
Price gouging.
Price gouging. Yes, we are. So the oil and gas industry is now price gouging, and so I mean, it feels like we got accused of being a right-wing commentary show. I can't help it that the left is currently saying the stupid things. I can't fix that. You can't blame me that the left is saying the stupid things right now, right? That's not my fault. It's your fault that you think the left is saying smart stuff. So I can't help you there.
So
hold on. Seriously, you didn't hear this? That's what she said yesterday. I got the clip. Let's see here. Where's it at? Let's see here. Here's your favorite senator? Here we go. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
What the oil companies.
Start over.
We know exactly what the oil companies pay attention to, what is their number one priority: profits. And so think about it this way. If this were just ordinary inflation, we might see prices go up. But prices at the pump have gone up. Why? Well, let me give you a hint. Chevron, Exxon have doubled their profits. This isn't about inflation. This is about price gouging for these guys. So I get it. When we see prices go up, we're all concerned, and the Republicans want to come in and just try to hammer on one theme about this economy. But we got to pay attention to the fact that folks like the oil companies say, I think it's just another opportunity to make profits, and we need to call them out on that.
Well, I am glad that she, for one, called them out, Josh, because what that means effectively is, and you all heard it, Senator Warren is saying drill, baby, drill. That's what she just said. They're not drilling enough. Therefore, they're charging money. They're charging these higher prices. They're making so much money. She wants CapEx going into 2022 to drilling into this great Permian core that we have out here in Texas. So thank you, Senator, for supporting this. We support you in your quest to drill more in the U.S. And so look at us aligning with the left, Josh. See how easy that was? You see how easy that was? I mean,
So,
right. I mean, that's what she has to be saying, right?
well, if she were consistent,
Well,
I
she
would
had a
wager that she would.
functioning brain, but yeah, that's a different story.
So, based on what I read, I reviewed the FTC that was that Biden posted, and essentially it is saying that it's anti-competitive. So I'm not trying to get into the Keystone Pipeline and shutting down some of that and then approving another pipeline. I'm not really getting into that. But if you start from the standpoint of you start saying you can't drill on federal lands and you start making it more difficult for these companies to produce oil, and you start incentivizing other countries like OPEC and other nations to produce more oil, you're discouraging people here. So how can you then take a suit against the people that you made it more difficult to drill because they're drilling less? I don't.
Yeah,
There seems to
and listen, it's quite possible that that the U.S. companies are, um, violating some kind of FTC law. It's quite
oh
possible
sure,
they are price gouging. All those things are possible. That's like sure, like if you want us to, I mean, we've criticized big business pretty routinely on this podcast, and so if you want me to think that these are, um, the good guys in the room, that's not going to happen. With that, what?
but if they're price gouging, like the only reason that's even possible is because other companies are having a hard time producing because of going back to the
Right,
shutdowns
right, right,
and
right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so what I'm saying is, yeah. So if you want to say that the big business is bad, that's fine. But to your point, to deny that there's responsibility on the other side, and that's what gets you so frustrated, right? Is that you have all of these things which push investment away from oil and gas, which means you have less U.S. production going on. And there's a lot of reasons. Big oil has not been responsible with its investors' money over the past, a couple decades since the shale revolution hit. We've talked about that.
mhm.
They've wasted billions of dollars and not returned back to the shareholders. So there's a lot of things at play here. It's just frustrating at this point in time when you're seeing a hard time to get investment capital into the industry. Companies are trying to, it looks like, return to their investors, um, which is what they're supposed to do, make profit. I think that's what publicly traded companies are supposed to do. I know Senator Warren doesn't understand that because she's a government employee, so that doesn't really make sense. But that's what businesses are supposed to do. And so, it's just a confusing narrative, and you sit there and you go, well, what is it you want them to do? You want them to drill more? You want them to charge less? So that even if they charged less, they made less money. They would be, and it's not as simple as charging less, but let's just say that they start charging less. Then what have you accomplished? You've just made their shareholders more angry because they're not making much money, even when prices are higher. And so then you've compounded the problem in the future because now you have less oil and gas because people won't invest in the companies because they're not making any money, right? And so
Yep.
then in the future you say, well, hey, these guys can't make money at $80 a barrel. There's no way I'm going to invest in them. So then the prices will go even higher. So it's just nonsensical from everyone's
But
perspective.
yeah, that's the thing that's amazing to me is just the thought process of profits. Like drilling for oil is not a cheap venture. We have to have money to do it. And if people are not making a profit on the money they invest, then they're not going to invest any more money. It's just basic economics. I mean, the only way that you're going to get people to put in, say, $100 billion from all over the world into this investment is because they're planning to make a profit on that money. If you take away that incentive, why wouldn't they just go invest in something else? That's the
Mhm.
whole point. That's the whole point of doing it. So if I mean the profits that they're generating, and beyond that, Ryan, I mean, we haven't even brought up something that we talked a lot about, and that's ESG. There's all sorts of disincentivizations in the stock market or in the profiles of people like BP and other companies that are worried about being labeled as a fossil fuel company because they get torched in the media and from a lot of the governments that are pushing the narrative. I mean, and like ESG is directly responsible for rising gas prices. Directly. I mean, not to say that, like we've talked before, we're fine with energy diversification and even finding clean sources. But if you push ESG at a point where you begin to disincentivize investment in the fossil fuels, it's going to have an effect of raising prices, because you're trying to dissuade people from investing in this specific area. And I know what someone might say, Ron, is they would say, well, we're not trying to dissuade them. We're trying to make the companies act and behave in a way that's cleaner, that's more environmentally friendly, which I can agree with that. I can understand that. But most of the ESG that you see out there are actually trying to move people away from fossil fuels in general, not to cleaner behaviors from the fossil fuel companies that are existing.
Yeah, and from Energy Blogger, distribution and marketing costs in a gallon of gasoline is same as taxes. So, as per her logic, we should investigate the U.S. government for tax gouging. Listen, we should invest the U.S. government for all kinds of things. Exactly.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
We
The
got a
problem-
show today, baby.
the final thing I'll say is that this goes back to last year, right, when we shut down the economy under the Trump administration. And so this is not just a left wing issue. This is the right wing has created this really crazy. When we shut down the economy, everything about that. That's just what happened. And so we crushed oil and gas demand in the U.S. And then you also had the Saudis and the Russians. So there's a lot of factors at play. And to boil it down to something simple, are there bad actors on both sides? Yes, but listen, right now the prices are down today. They're down to what would you say 76 this morning? What that 70? Yeah, 76, 86, which is down what $7, $8 from last week. I can't remember what the price was last week. Yeah, they're down from 83 a week ago. They peaked at 84. It looks like so. You're down $8, $9, and consumers across all sectors are feeling this, and that's why you're seeing so much focus on our industry right now. Is not because of the ESG angle; it's because of the pricing angle, and so people are struggling to pay for it. And so, but we do have some good news. We did add some jobs, so that's one way to hope. Maybe there's a sign that more production is coming.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the situation right now is when people start encouraging moving away from fossil fuels and there's this big push against it, what ends up happening is prices go up and people start to, Jekyll and Hyde, but they become confused about what it is they're really wanting to do here, because prices at the gas pump hurt, and pushing for clean energy in 50 years when it costs this kind of money begins to cause people to second guess some of the decisions they're making, or at least some of the positions that they've taken on some of these issues.
Okay, I think our guest is here looking clean in the back. Let's see if we can bring him to the forefront. There he is, the man, the myth.
How are you guys?
The big dog, Stu Turley. Stu, how's it going,
I
bud?
don't know about big dog, fat dog maybe, but
No, I'm the fat dog in this podcast. Okay,
hey, both of you look fabulous. It's great seeing you guys.
Well, you look
Thanks,
pretty
Stu.
happy today. How are things going, Stu? Why don't you do a quick introduction? You have like the Energy News, the Energy Newsbeat podcast, which has like premium guests. You also have a company. You do all kinds of stuff. Give a 30-second intro for us.
Hey, Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group, and we do a lot of digital. I can't talk. I'm from Texas with an OSU background. We do digital integration for the disproportionately impacted communities with oil and gas and energy firms. And that's a whole nother animal. You were on a podcast a bazillion years ago. We were very instrumental in getting the first wells approved in Colorado, and for a few companies that just got those approved. We know how tough that is with the regulations. We help people with regulations and got a lot of other cool customers. So we do a lot of great things, got a great team, and it's kind of fun being the president and CEO. I'm not a presidential candidate like some guys that I want to grow up to be like.
Well, the real question is do I take the governorship in 2022 before taking the president in 2024, and then potentate of the world in 2026. That's kind of what I'm debating right now.
Potentate of the world. I love that. Can you do a popal wave for me? Not a popal wave, but a potentate wave.
Yeah, I'd have a clone probably doing the waving for me, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So it's a lot of effort there. So no, Stu, it's good to get you on. A lot going on in the world. Prices we looked at this morning, they're down at 76.84, at least from last week.
Yep.
Your boy Joe Biden coming out said that there's price FTC complaints. Elizabeth Warren said we're price gouging. What's going on? What's the story here?
They're idiots. I don't want to. They're think that. Let me back up just a hair. The strategic oil reserves are what they are. Strategic oil reserves. And so when China, your favorite country, since you want to be part of the CCP, no, you want to run the CCP as the omnipotent one. And Japan and all these others, they've asked to release some of those strategic oil reserves. What happens when you eliminate, I don't know why, the sun's coming and going. Maybe it's a reflection off my head. But when you look at releasing or shortening down a commodity, what's going to happen is here is the price for oil. It's going to go down a little bit, but the commodity is going to get less. And then boom, it's going to be a worse hockey stick after here in a little bit. So you have Saudi Arabia has announced that they are going to balance their budget next year, guys. This is critical. When they balance their budget next year, it's going to go through and say, wait a minute. The calculations on that are at $125 oil in order to pay out what they need. The Saudis are going to keep the price up. On America Brent, on WTI, if we take the strategic oil reserves down, the government is going to make profit because they filled it at a lower rate. The underlying thing that they're really needing is they're going to use that cash. How's that? I think Ryan froze up.
I think you did freeze up.
Sorry, I was having all kinds of technical difficulty with my audio stuff. It was got unplugged or something. I don't know what happened. Yeah, no. Stu, you once again you nailed it as always. And so, what does that mean for, we looked at last week, 2 weeks ago we had the COP26.
Yep.
A lot of talks about climate change, climate initiatives. We were talking earlier about how that impacts investment in the U.S.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on all that?
I'll tell you what, this is huge. This is probably the single biggest revolution in energy that's out there, guys. This is critical. And the reason for that is the renewable. We've had 20 years, right? You and I have talked about the 20 years of bad energy policies is why we're in the energy crisis. So what has happened is everybody is demanding that we print money. When we print money and it goes to paying for renewables, guess what happens? Inflation. We got inflation going on. So the language in COP26 is now saying that, they snuck this in. Nobody covered this on the news. What is in there now is natural gas is okay. Whoa, wait a minute. Natural gas is needed? Well, there's some things going on with the Saudis that I'll come back in a sec. But right, guys, this is nuts. Guess what's in the infrastructure bill? Natural gas is okay.
Hold on. Are you breaking news on this podcast that natural gas is now needed and good? It's okay.
It was a stealth launch, and you're going to see this tee up for the renewable people, and I use the word renewable because all of the funding has been limited to renewables, and now you need, there's green and blue hydrogen, right? What is green and blue hydrogen? I forgot. If it's blue hydrogen, it's made with natural gas, and if it's green hydrogen, it's made with wind farms, which doesn't blow all the time. So they've now said natural gas is needed in order to even make hydrogen. Oh, wait a minute, or backfill. So we're talking some big news in the climate change talking points. This is revolutionary for the oil and gas infrastructure. And guys, the other thing I think is so cool is the infrastructure bill is huge for oil and gas. Do you know how much asphalt is in the infrastructure bill?
Well, hold on now, Stu. Come on now, don't correlate the facts to oil and gas. I was talking to someone this morning, and they were talking about how ungreen Bitcoin was, and I was like, I said that's all hogwash. This is all hogwash. And he said, well, Elon said this and Elon said that. I'm like, go look up EV battery mining and then tell me what Elon actually says about anything. But it's funny because and it's weird because we think of these terms, but outside the oil and gas industry, people don't think in terms of how much asphalt is in this bill. Well, what does that mean, right? And so it's one of those things that I think the industry's gotten better about trying to make these connections for people outside, but it's really just not commonplace. And we think, oh yeah, we're going to build roads, and therefore that's going to increase demand. That's going to do this, but outside the industry, that connection is not made.
Mm-hmm. There's another one, Ryan. For about 2 years, I've been saying the more we go renewable, the more fossil fuels we're going to use. Oh, we got proof on that bad dog. California is using more coal now than they have in the past, and it's because of cement. Oh, the only way that you can get cement to a hot enough temperature is by using coal. Guess what? All these infrastructure projects, highways, and everything else, coal. There's more coal it's now a commodity, and the price for coal is going up. There was an article in Reuters this morning, not hemorrhoids, but Reuters, and it's saying that trees are now going to be extinct because everybody's chopping trees down. You can't buy this kind of entertainment for 20 years of bad energy policies. And you know who gets it?
Me. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, who?
All the poor people, because they're going to be charged.
Who gets the short end of the stick? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, who gets it in the drive-through always is going to be the poor people. And the middle class is just going to get hacked and beat up. And I'm sorry, I get passionate about how the middle class and poor people get to pay for all this stuff.
We played a clip from your inspiration earlier, Senator Warren, talking about the oil and gas companies are price gouging right now. And so,
did you say Senator Warren's my inspiration?
Your inspiration.
Oh my gosh!
Like, you're not your normal studio, but you normally have the big congressional picture of her in the background. I think it's autographed. So it's usually a touching tribute to your favorite senator, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So yeah, are you disputing the fact? Listen, Stu, we've been accused of being right wing. We brought you to be on our left wing correspondent. Is that not true now? Is that what you're saying?
I am a independent, and I want to vote for you as a registered independent as long as I can be your Secretary of Defense. So no, I'm a moderate, or what do you want?
We're considered like far right by some, so you balance us out. So you and Warren, y'all are kind of, that's good that you adore her so much.
I am not going to pop a beer on the middle of live stream, was it YouTube or something, with 14 people watching it and try to say, hey honey, do you want a beer? And I'm like, what did that prove? And by the way, my name's not Pocahontas. I mean, what is she, pretending to be an Indian or something? Good grief. She has no pedigree. I saw her with some moccasins on one time. Does that make her an Indian? No.
You're supposed to be the left wing guy. You're
that makes her a bad dresser. That doesn't make her. Where's the memes when you need them? I mean, Bernie Sanders with his hands and his mittens, that went everywhere. That was priceless. But where's her and her moccasins?
Well, Stu, you mentioned asphalt. What was the amount of asphalt that's in there? I did see where there's some infrastructure. So what were the numbers there?
It was enough to cause the price of oil to go up.
Yeah,
dramatically. Did you notice that Goldman Sachs said we're going to stay at 85? It's really 85 to 90 by the end of the year. And I'm calling for 125 average next year.
120. Hold on. Say that again. That's not $1.25 natty gas. You're talking about 125 per barrel of Earl.
As we say, we're going to beat a whale. I wonder where that came from, almighty Ryan.
125 average for 2022.
Yes, and you know why? Who controls most of the oil situation in pricing and commodities?
Well, other than you, who else?
Hey, Putin and Saudi Arabia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They are communicating. I overheard them on their secret line the other day. No, I'm just kidding. But think about this. The Saudi Arabia is 90% of their budget is for social programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to get a hold of Dr. Ellen Wald. She is very, very smart, and we got to get a hold of her to talk about this. But on the other hand, you sit back and talk about their budget. Saudi Aramco had to borrow billions this year for the first time in order to pay their fair share. I have to go fact check myself on how many, but it was a lot. This next year, they're going to pay that back. And they announced in 2023, they're going to have a ginormous, which is an OSU way to talk, a ginormous amount of surplus. I'm on a rare form today.
You are rare. We're going to get a lot of reviews. I don't know if they're going to be good or bad, but we're going to get a lot of reviews. We have a policy. You can say whatever you want as long as it's 5-star. And some bonehead left us a 1-star and criticized us. It's like, well, you can't do that. If you're going to criticize, it's got to be 5 stars. Like, that's the policy.
Oh, hey, I just got, I've had like 17,000 views on George Friedman's interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bonehead yesterday leave a review on it. And he said, Turley needs to be fired. He's the worst host I've ever seen. I'm like, how are you going to fire the podcast host that owns the podcast, you moron? I thought it was you. Here I am on the couch, watching TV with a wife, and I'm like, Ryan Ray's giving me a comment on my video.
I would at least given you 5 stars if it were me. So
so if
it wasn't 5 stars, it wasn't me. I'm a 5-star. I pass them around like candy. So, okay, Stu. So 125 oil. That's crazy. We had a story we saw 2,300 jobs were added in upstream. I think
Nice.
The Houston Chronicles want me to pay for some subscription things. I can't see when the period was. I think it's the last quarter, maybe last month, last couple months.
Yep.
We've talked about that a lot on the show, which is jobs, and jobs aren't coming back as fast as we expect them, or you would expect them to normally with this price point.
Right.
At 125, will jobs come back to the industry? I mean, will we see people really getting back to work? I was out in Midland last week, and stayed at a hotel, parking garage wasn't that full. All things being equal, there's a little bit of traffic. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't what you'd expect for whatever the price was, $80-something oil last week.
Right. Were you listening to the Jay Young podcast a couple of weeks ago when he was at the Heart conference? Because that's exactly what he said. And then I got him on Fox Business, and that's what his line was when she was asking him about that question. So there you are, stealing material again.
Well, he actually came on here and said that, and then I went out there myself to verify, and I saw the same thing. So
You got to fact check him.
I got to fact check him. I drove
Yeah.
5 hours out there just to make sure that he wasn't making that up. I didn't fly my private jet like he did, but I drove my Tesla out there to see. So only had to charge it twice. It was nice.
Oh yeah.
So do you think jobs come back, Stu?
Oh, absolutely. Especially for the oil field guys. And I think that they're going to be there long term. Now, are the number of rigs going to go up? Here's another prediction I have. It's not going to be the majors. The CEO of Devon basically said that they're going to keep 9 rigs running. So they're going to be running at that certain pace. They're not going to be adding rigs at a quick pace. So the rigs are going to, the independents are going to be the ones using the rigs. So that being said, the M&A activity is going to go up. And it's because the majors are being held to the green accountability. Boy, that head reflection off of the window back here is causing my light to go in and out. So, if I blind you guys, get some sunglasses. And so when you take a look, where was I going? I just had a senior moment. That was horrible.
We're talking about jobs.
Oh yeah.
Jobs, Devon was saying they're going to stay at 9 rigs.
And so the oil field service guys are going to have some really good numbers for them supporting the independents. And so the independents are going to be where a lot of the jobs go.
Do you think that the pay comes back as well? Because we had some comments a few episodes back, people bemoaning the fact that there are some jobs, but the pay's not there. It's 50% less, I think, is what I saw. Some of the YouTube comments, people were saying, hey, there's just, okay, maybe there's a job, but, it's getting half of what it should get. So will the pay come back to match that?
I hadn't heard that, right? And I always have to fact check myself because I'm stupid. But I'd love to find that out. I'll go take a look. But oil field's tough work, man. I mean, whatever they get paid, it's not enough.
Stu Turley, man of the people. That is the most political. That's where you got that from Warren. That's your Senator Warren line right there. Whatever they get paid, it's not enough.
But you're not seeing any. I don't have my cowboy boots on, but I got my tennis shoes. There ain't no moccasins in this house.
Oh gracious! Okay,
normally I can line up about 10 pair of cowboy boots if you'd like, but no, there ain't no Warren moccasins. Clogs? What the hell was that?
It's Crocs.
Was that your coffee mug that had coffee stains in it? Holy smokes, that was nasty.
Crocs. That's the only way to ride. Crocs. Okay. All right, Stu. Where can people find you? You have a podcast that has on probably the best guests in America, if I would do say so myself.
And we're releasing yours, I think, tomorrow or Wednesday. And I want to give a shout out. It's the Energy Newsbeat podcast. We've got a bunch of new great guests coming on. And one of my most favorite regular guests is this guy named Ryan Ray. And we have a hoot. And I just really appreciate you guys. And I appreciate everything you guys got going on the Oil and Gas podcast. And they can reach me at LinkedIn. The guy with the bald head and has this effect on cameras, and Stuart Turley at LinkedIn or sandstone-group.com.
Well, it's okay, Stu. This has been an audio podcast. We do this. People say, why are you live? We do this because you know this, is that if you record it in Zoom or whatever, and then people know it's being recorded, they'll say, oh, let me retake that or let me redo that. And so we just do it live. And so you get the whole, it's just here. It's raw. It's real. It's authentic. So if we say something stupid, which we do every week, you hear it. We don't go back and clean it up. It is what it is. So it's okay.
I have a face for radio, Ryan, and I'll tell you, that's why post-production is my friend. And based on my comments of Stu Turley needs to be fired on my own podcast, dude.
Well, if you do fire Stu, call Josh up and hire him to come sub in for you. So,
Oh, absolutely. I'm in, man. And
Stu,
boy, you got to quit dominating the conversation over there, man. You are dominating this conversation. You're letting Ryan and I just banter away, and you need to butt in on this, man.
Well, I'm letting y'all chat. I mean, there's some interesting stuff y'all talking about. It's fun.
Josh has learned the old adage. How's it go? People don't know how stupid you are until you open your mouth. Like he's mastered that. he's mastered that. So,
Yeah.
Hey, who you guys
still learning?
Hey, real quick, I know you guys are running out of time, but who you guys got for the OU OSU game this weekend? If you
Has OSU ever beaten OU?
It's like a big brother thumping. OU just beats the snot out of OU. It's like 84 to 17. But I got some bucks on OSU this year.
Stu Turley calling a $1.25 oil and an OSU upset.
You bet.
In Bedlam. Okay. Well, listen, Stu, it's good. Me and you should take a note from Josh. Talk less so people would think we're smarter, but we're not smart enough to do that. So,
no. Josh is the good-looking one out of all of us.
Well, obviously, that's a low bar, though. That is a low bar, and so the competition isn't high. But whatever. Okay,
thanks,
Stu.
guys.
It's good to have you on. Talk to you later, brother.
See you. Bye.
All right. Once again, Stu Turley. Be sure to check out the Energy News Beat podcast. He has all kinds of cool guests on there. With that, Josh, I think that's it, right, brother?
Yep. We hit the 2,300 jobs. There is a article about Carlsbad. You might want to this New Mexico stuff. Just talking about kind of their financial situation. If you're in Eddy County and you want to take a look at it, or Lee, it's just interesting news for someone that might want to follow that. But other than that, I think that's it, bud.
All right. With that being said, hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and talk to you. Till next time, keep climbing.